Let's revisit our learning from our first video. Everything in the world is made up of matter or stuff. Matter is anything that has weight and takes up space. Everything you can see and touch is made up of matter. Matter exists in three main states: solids, liquids, and gases. Solids are objects that keep their own shape and do not flow. Examples of solids are an ice block, desk, apple, pencil, ball. The shape never changes. A liquid takes the shape of the container they are in and can flow. A liquid is something like water, oil, juice. A gas is like air. It can move around freely or flow to fit a container, and it doesn't have their own shape. You can put your hand through gases and you won't feel it. We're learning about how air moves things like kites, birds, airplanes, helicopters, fast cars, and even fast cyclists. Now, air is a gas, and we use air to move many things. Can you remember the special word we use to describe how we use air to move things? Aerodynamics! Great job! Aerodynamics is the way air moves around things. Let's try say the word together. Aerodynamics. Aerodynamics. There are so many things that use aerodynamics. Here are some things that use aerodynamics or air to help it move. Aeroplanes, rocket ship, kites, birds, race car drivers, and cyclists. All these things use aerodynamics or air to help it move. Anything that moves through air uses aerodynamics. But how does aerodynamics move something like a plane, using air through the sky? The reason why something can move through air is because of forces. A force is a push or a pull on something to make it move. When a plane or a bird or a kite or a helicopter is moving through the air, it uses four forces called lift, weight, thrust, and drag to help it move. Let's talk about the four forces that help us to move things through the air, like an airplane. Lift. Lift is the force or the push that lets something move up. Lift is the force that is the opposite of weight. Everything that flies must have lift. For an aircraft to move upward, it must have more lift than weight. Lift for an airplane comes from its wings. Weight. Weight is the downward force that an aircraft must overcome in order to fly. Gravity is the force that pulls everything down to Earth. If you want to know what the weight of something is, you can calculate it by finding the amount of gravity and multiplying it by how heavy an object is. Thrust. Thrust pushes or moves something forward. Thrust is the force that is the opposite of drag. For an aircraft to keep moving forward, it must have more thrust than drag. A small airplane might get its thrust from a propeller. A larger airplane might get its thrust from its jet engines. Drag. Drag is the force that pulls back on something trying to move. Drag provides something called resistance and makes it hard for something to move. For example, it is more difficult to walk or run through water than through air. Water causes more drag than air. The shape of an object also affects the amount of drag. The more air that hits a surface, the more the drag the air produces. But have you ever traveled on an airplane and wondered, how does this airplane carrying so many passengers and bags and food and things stay up in the sky? Well, the secret lies in the plane's wings. The airplane's wings help the plane to lift. But how does an airplane's wings provide lift? The shape of an airplane's wings is what makes it able to fly. Airplanes' wings are curved on top and flatter on the bottom. The shape makes air flow over the top faster and under the bottom. Have you ever sat in an airplane by the wings of the plane and noticed the air flowing quickly over the wings? It's this air moving above and below the wings that lifts its wings. A man called Daniel Bernoulli, born in the 1700s, was a mathematician from Switzerland. Bernoulli discovered why things can fly, and he called this Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli found out that the faster air flows, the less pressure it has. And the same can be said for the opposite. The slower the air flows, the more pressure it has. Pressure means how much force something is pushing on something else. Let's learn it again. Bernoulli's principle explains the way that a fluid, a liquid, or gas moves. Fluids or gases are made up of microscopically tiny particles that move around. Air moves more quickly over the top of the wing. This creates an area of lower pressure above the wing. Under the wing, air flows slower, causing higher pressure underneath the wing, causing it to be pushed upward or causing a force called lift. Daniel Bernoulli, famous mathematician, found out that the faster the air flows, the less pressure it has, or the slower the airflow, the more pressure it has. Wings are designed in a special shape that means that when the air hits the wings, the air will flow faster on top of the wing, causing less pressure, and when the air hits the bottom of the wing, it will flow slower, causing more pressure. This is how we can generate or make the force lift that an airplane needs to fly. Using curves in the wings on an airplane to change air pressure is a trick used on many aircrafts. Helicopter rotor blades use this trick. Lift for kites also comes from a curved shape. Even birds have special shaped wings to help them fly. With airflow plus pressure equals we can create lift for an airplane. But let's recap what we've learned about aerodynamics. Aerodynamics is the way air moves things around. Anything that moves through air uses aerodynamics. Aerodynamics helps us to explain how an airplane is able to fly. The 4 forces of aerodynamics or flight are lift, weight, thrust, and drag. 5 examples that use aerodynamics are airplanes, fast cyclists, kites, birds, and fast cars. Daniel Bernoulli discovered a theory called the Bernoulli principle. The Bernoulli principle says that the faster air flows, the less pressure it has. Wings are designed in a special shape that means that when air hits the wings, the air will flow faster on top of the wing, causing less pressure. And when the air hits the bottom of the wing, it will flow faster, causing more pressure. This is how we can generate or make the force lift that an airplane needs to fly.
I'm a chief leader. I'm a chief leader. I'm a chief leader. I'm a chief leader.